Hello, beautiful stars. Welcome to Stars of the Morning Light. I am Courtney, host. So, we are in our Sun series. Yes, going back to our material. Beloved stars, patrons out there, beautiful viewers, subscribers, hello, good day. I hope you are well. Please do know that this is pre-recorded. The majority of all that will be coming out between the end of July into the middle of August, ah, will be finished recording today. I'm very excited. Um, which also means I am most likely not in the chat. I am going to visit my mother, and so I'm sure we are busy doing whatever we are doing. Please be kind, respectful in the chat. But most of all, have a good time, have fun. It's Friday. I'm in love, right? So, we are in Sun Lore of All Ages, William Tyler Alcott. Um, we started this material, the last Sun series video, which was great. We were in Manly P. Hall before. This, though, this material has zero like copyright laws. We are able to use it for all publication purposes. And the back of the book says, this work is in public domain in the United States of America and possibly other nations. Within the United States, you may freely copy and distribute this work, as no entity, individual or corporate, has a copyright on the body of work. Yes. So here at Stars of Morning Light, we really do pay attention to copyright laws. Um, and I'm sure many of the viewers here can understand. We've witnessed tons of different channels um, get marks, get red, red marks and get taken down at times or demonetized because of copyright issues. So, what is beautiful about this? I can read every single word. I can just flow with it. And that's what we're going to do today, folks. So, we are still in this material reading about different Native American tribes, the indigenous. Please know this was written in, um, I'm going back to find out to 1914. 1914. So, in the written work, they are still using the word Indian. I will be reading that word. Um, but all of this is, and I do believe it's put together beautifully in respect to all the various tribes. The tribes are named by, referred to as their names, and it's lovely. But it does still have some words that when I go through it, I'm like, we don't use that anymore in today's world. We don't use that anymore today. So bear with it, and please bear with the translation of some of the names within these stories and whatnot, because I did try to find translations, and there are a few names in here within different myths that everywhere just kept saying there is no definitive translation for this. So I'm doing my best, folks. I'm doing my best. And if you go to the playlist in the description below, um, you can watch the last video where we started this. And what I invite everyone to kind of notice, well, notice what you're noticing, right? Notice the similarities within these myths. Notice the differences, right? Because there are different things that are being presented in multiple stories that maybe we'll talk a bit about it at the end. So we're going to go back to, we're on page 8. According to the Wyandot Indian myth, the little turtle created the sun by order of a great council of animals, and he made the moon to be the sun's wife. He also created the fixed stars, but the stars which run about the sky, quote unquote, are supposed to be the children of the sun and the moon. The following Yuma legend indicates that the moon was considered by their ancestors as of greater importance than the sun. Quiyumet said, I will make the moon first. He faced the east and placing spittle in the forefingers of his right hand, rubbed it like paint on the eastern sky until he made the round, shiny place. I call it the moon. And I do want everybody to understand this name, as far as the creator goes, in the Yuma tribe, I could not find a definitive pronunciation. Kikumet is about the best I can do. Kikumet. So he kind of spits in his fingers, rubs, like rubbing paint together into a round, shiny place. Now another god, whom Kikumet created, rubbed his fingers till they shined, and drawing the sky down to himself, he painted a great face upon it, rubbing it until it shined brightly. This he called the sun. That's lovely. There is a tradition among the Pomo Indians of California that in very early times the sun did not move daily across the heavens as it does now, but only rose a short distance above the eastern horizon each morning, and then it sunk back again. This arrangement did not suit people very well. The Coyote Man determined to better conditions, so he started eastward to see what the trouble was with the sun. He took with him some food, a magic sleep-producing tuft of feathers, and four mice. Hmm, four mice. On the fourth day, fourth, he arrived at the home of the Sun People, who received him cordially, and a great dance was arranged in the dance house. In the midst of this building the sun, in the midst of this, building the sun was suspended from the rafters by ropes of grapevines. So the Coyote Man, who his people on the west were not receiving enough light, goes out to the east, bringing a magic sleep-producing tuft of feathers and four mice. When he gets there, these people graciously bring him in. There's going to be this big dance, and in the building of where this dance is going to be, the sun is actually kind of stuck up by the rafters, and it's being held down by grapevines. So I'm sure you can assume what will happen. Coyote Man liberated the mice and told them to gnaw at the grapevine ropes that held the sun. Meanwhile, he danced with the Sun People, and by the aid of the producing feathers, he succeeded in everyone falling asleep. The mice by this time had freed the sun, which Coyote Man seized and carried off with him. On his homecoming, the sun was laid on the ground, and the people discussed what should be done with it. But Coyote Man decided that it should be hung up in the middle of the sky. This difficult task was delegated to the birds, but they all failed until came the crow's turn. They were successful in hanging up the sun, and it has remained in its proper place ever since. The Apache myth agrees with most of the Indian myths as regards to the darkness that that traditionally reigned over the world and people's desire for light. But their notion of the creation of the sun itself differs materially, geez, sorry, from the other Indian myths. So I got a little tongue-tied there because I wanted to pause and remind everybody that in many of these stories, there was a bit of light on the earth for mankind, peoples, but it was all like this kind of twilight, not the visible light that we have from the sun now. It was what I kind of referred to as what the astral plane kind of feels like. The, um, how would you say, think of dawn. Think of the time when dawn happens each day and the sun is coming down, and sometimes the sky has like this eerie blue tint, like when you look out, or green, or even brownish. That's like, there's somewhat of enough light to see and communicate and try to, live life, but this is not enough light to grow and produce and really function. Pretty much all these stories, it is some kind of a twilight atmosphere, lack of light that springs these myths. And I do find that fascinating because, in my humble opinion, this is just me speaking of my opinions, that is in relation in a lot of ways to more of what the astral plane, how that is represented. And there's so many indigenous stories of, and indigenous to across the globe, the Americas, definitely like the Aborigines, some Eastern tribes, African tribes that speak about the astral plane being more like the hell plane, right? And so if we kind of maybe put it into that regard, then getting the sun, bringing the sun into the scope of traveling and lighting up the world, the sun, that could be very significant. It's when we start kind of pinpointing all these different stories, because you'll get stories about the quote unquote astral plane, or even in the Middle East, there's stories of the underworld and whatnot, more controlling things. It's more the astral plane of the hell plane, as other indigenous tribal people will talk about. Maybe, maybe there's some connection there, right? Maybe there's some connection there that for quite a long time, maybe, we were living within that. And then these different gods and these different animal beings and these different tribes all said, we need light. We need light. S-U-N. I don't know. I don't know. Just thoughts. So from the Apaches, this is one of their myths. The myth relates that originally the only light in the world was that which emanated from the large eagle feathers that people carried about with them. Oh my goodness. Large eagle feathers that, maybe they're tucked in behind us somehow. That is the only lights because we are the light of the world. Humans first, right? With that concept of light of the world. We're all lights. Because it's like, how did we think to do that? Interesting. I don't know. So this one, it's not just Twilight. The Apache's story is just darkness, darkness. And the only light is from illuminating eagle feathers that we carry around with us. Oh, beloveds, take that in. This is such an unsatisfactory means of illuminating the world that a council of the tribe was called for the purpose of devising a better system of lighting. It was suggested that they manufacture a sun, so they set about it. A great disk was made and painted with bright yellow, and this was placed in the sky. The legend does not relate how this was accomplished. This first, the first attempt at sun making was not altogether successful, as the disk was too small. However, they permitted it to make one circuit of the heavens before it was taken down and enlarged. Four times it was taken down and increased in size before it was as large as the earth and gave sufficient light. Encouraged by their success at sun making, the people made a moon, and it hung up in the sky. It appears that this light company's business and its success arose an ear of a wizard and a witch who lived in the underworld. Whoa, keep with me, folks. They regarded the manufacture of the sun and the moon as presumptuous acts on the part of man and attempted to destroy the luminaries. But the sun and moon fled from the underworld, leaving it in potential darkness, and found its safe abiding place in the heavens where they have remained. So the Apache story is the actual full making and design of the sun. We don't have those elements here, but we have that it was complete darkness. Humans only had light by eagle feathers, which that's beautiful. I mean, really take that all in, folks, as to the significance of that in a lot of ways. That's amazing, especially if you've ever seen an eagle. So they set out to make this sun. The council got together. They're like, we got to do this. They create some kind of disc and they paint it yellow. And they keep trying to get it further up. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. And it took them four times. But the underworld, the basically the king and queen of the underworld, the wizard and the witch of the underworld, were like, no, 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 no. That is the humans. You can't be doing that. We control what's going on here. And so they tried to kidnap the sun and the moon, but it didn't work. And attempted to destroy the luminaries. Okay, so they didn't even just try to kidnap them, they tried to destroy the sun and the moon. But the sun and the moon fled from the underworld. So that interprets that they kidnapped them, brought them back down in darkness, but somehow they fled the underworld, which could maybe mean they were still too close to our Earth as well, leaving it in darkness and found a safe abiding place like a haven in the heavens where they have ever remained, untouched by the underworld. I guess I'm pausing so much at this story because there are so many relatable stories to this right here that my brain is flooding with connecting dots and I'm really trying to stay focused. Man. Man, oh man, oh man. Let's move on to the Navajo. The Navajo Indian legend of creation of the sun, moon, and stars is decidedly novel and reveals a wide range of imagination of primitive man in his conception of the creation of the celestial bodies. Novel here would mean like noteworthy, like this is a very good story, right? And very detailed with imagination and charm and character and probably many lessons, right? The early Navajo, it appears, in common with many other Indian tribes, met in council to consider a means of introducing more light into the world. For, in early times, the people lived in semi-darkness, the obscurity resembling that of twilight. The wise men concluded that they must have a sun and moon and a variety of stars placed above the earth. And the first work that was done to bring this about was the creation of the heavens, in which to place the luminaries. Hmm. The old men of the tribe made the sun in a house constructed for this special purpose. But the creation of the moon and the stars they left to other tribes. Oh, that's lovely. The work of creating the sun was soon accomplished, and the problem then presented itself of rising it up to the heavens and fixing it there. Two fluters, those who play the flute very well, who had gained considerable prominence in the tribe, were selected to bear the sun and moon, for they had also constructed the moon. So they first made the sun, then they made the moon. Oh my goodness, how do we get them up to these heavens? Do take note, it said that the humans had to create the heavens first. I'm hoping this is blowing everybody's minds. I really do. That the heavens didn't exist, the sun, the moon, all this stuff didn't exist until humans decided, like, hey, we don't want to live in darkness. We can create light. We can do all this stuff. So back to the fluters. They were Atlas-like on their perspective shoulders. These were great burdens to impose on them, for the orbs were exceedingly heavy. Therefore, the fluters staggered at first under the great weight that bore them down, and the one bearing the sun came near burning up the earth before he raised it to sufficiently high. But the old man of the tribe lit their pipes and puffed smoke vigorously at the sun, and this caused it to retire to a greater distance in the heavens. Four successful times they had to do this to prevent the burning of the world. Four times. They had to keep rising it, rising it, rising it. For the earth had increased greatly in size since ancient times. And consequently, the sun had to be projected higher in the heavens, so that is so that its great heat would not set the world on fire. It will be noted that the language of the myths as translated has been followed closely. This was in order to bring out more fully their adequate imagery. The Indian was ever a poet, and a study of tribal legends reveals many charming bits that would lose their beauty of expression were they transposed into dictation of our more common language. So he really was trying to have the stories as best translated, as authentically translated. That's what he's saying. And if that is definitely true, then we are catching, folks, that the humans are making heavens, suns, moons, stars. They're having, they were always living in some kind of darkness, maybe a bit of twilight. Hmm. And take this in when it said, with this, with what the Navajo story is here, that they had to, lift it up higher 4 times, right? But it was because for the earth had increased greatly in size since ancient times. That right there, beloveds, is why I don't listen to any of this, um, I don't listen to anybody's time frames. Like, carbon dating. What? What? Carbon dating when a very ancient Navajo story about the creation of the sun and the moon and the stars is referencing that there was even way more time before that happened. Ancient times before that story, the need and the creation of the sun. That's why I don't pay attention to no carbon dating. I don't pay attention to anybody's timelines, anybody's time of, thoughts about time. Because when you read these stories, it's like, hmm. And the earth grew in size since ancient times, when for us, this is pretty ancient. This is very ancient. Ooh, like this is the creation of all things, but in this, that's why the writer, right after that was written, said, "Hey, I kept it 100. This is the story. Take that in, right?" And this was also written in 1914. Amazing. This is, whew, I love it. Let's do another. In the Ute Indian myth, which follows, it appears that the sun had to be conquered and subjected to man's will before it would perform its daily task in the orderly and regular way, meaning east to west. It is related that the hare god, which is the name, it was just the name, I believe, but it might represent like rabbit god. I'm not sure. Um, it's just what it was referred to, hare god, was once sitting by his campfire in the woods, waiting the wayward sun god's return. Weary with watching, he fell asleep, and while he slumbered, the sun god came, and so near did he approach that his great heat scorched the shoulders of the hare god. Realizing that he had thus incurred the wrath of the hare god, the sun god fled to his cave in the underworld. Once again, the sun is going down to the underworld. So there's the hare god, which is probably maybe rabbit, right? Hare, because that's what we call hare or rabbits. So it could be like an animal god of some kind. So who fell asleep by the campfire waiting for the sun god to show up. The sun god almost scorched him. He then retaliated. The sun then fled to the underworld, to a cave in the underworld. The hare god awoke in a rage and started in pursuit of the sun god. After many adventures, he came to a brick in the world. He came to a brink in the world? And laid in wait for the object of his vengeance. Oh my goodness. When the sun god finally came out of his cave, the hare god shot an arrow at him, and the sun's heat burned it up before it reached its mark. However, the hair god had in his quiver a magic arrow which always hit the mark. This he launched from his bow, and the shaft struck the sun god full in its face. So the sun was shattered into 1,000 fragments. These fell to the earth and caused a great com com it caused great fires, guys. So think of this too in relation to all these other stories of hearing of like comets coming down and scorching and the whole earth is on fire, or fights in the skies, like the Hindu stories of fire coming out of nowhere, just destroying the lands because of some fight happening. It was now the turn of the hair god to be dismayed at the results of his actions, and he fled before the destruction he had brought. As he ran, the burning earth consumed all his members, saved his head, which went rolling over the face of the earth. Finally, it too became so hot that the eyes of the god burst, and out gushed a flood of tears, extinguishing the fire. Okay, and beloveds, please know that I'm kind of removing words that I would have to explain what they mean because we just don't use them anymore, and kind of trying to refigure some of how this is read sentence-wise, because it is very much not how we read and write in today's world, and so I don't want to have to stop every time to explain what the meaning of that word is. It's words that we do not even use anymore. Um, so that is maybe why I'm stumbling a bit, because so the hair god strikes him, strikes the sun god. He breaks up into all these different pieces that are now burning the planet, burning everything. It burns the hair god, all of his body, but yet his head remains. That starts rolling across the planet, and that it finally, because of the heat, his eyes burst open and out gushes a flood of tears, which extinguishes the fires. But the sun god had been conquered and awaited sentence. A great council was called, and after much discussion, the sun god was condemned to pursue a definitive path across the sky each day, and the days, nights, and seasons were arranged in an orderly fashion. So even though the sun was pierced from the arrow of the hair god, it still had a sentence to complete. It still had to be punished in a way because it still existed. It was being punished because it almost destroyed everything. Even though it was someone else's fault, it's kind of, um, we don't have the beginning as to why that hair god and the sun god had issues with each other. We don't have that. Fascinating. But once again, it was the people that came together and said, "Hey, son, you almost destroyed everything on this planet. You are going to be sentenced, and this is your sentence. For throughout all time, you're going to be doing this." Wow. This is, I love when we read old stories that remind us humans of the power and authority that we have. I mean, even in some scriptures, uh, just off the top of my head, take it when Jesus would turn to people and he would say, "You, in the end, you would actually be judging the angels." And do know judging's not in the term of what we think judging there. but it is to emphasize we are supreme beings. We are just equal to. But there is no separation between as above, so below, as below, so above. We're all one in connection. You know, what happens with what we think are celestial beings and what we think are more powerful beings, higher consciousness beings. The same's going on with us, same going on with them. We're just doing all the same stuff. So therefore, we have all the authority to really make decisions. But in all of these stories, please point out, it is not usually one human making the story. And that's what I love about these more ancient tales, these lores, these myths, and especially amongst more indigenous tribes of whatever continent they might be, because a lot of African stories go this way, Aborigine stories go this way. That is more community based. There's some kind of council that make the decision. It's not just one person. That whole one person thing, that is when we get further into I want to say more scriptural than myths and legends, or more when we get into the time frame more of like the Greek gods or like the ancient Torah stories, right? What people call the Old Testament is actually the Torah. So when we get into more of like that time frame, it does become more like one singular ruler, right? Or even an agent, pardon me, more ancient Asian tales, it's usually like a ruler, a god. When in so many more indigenous ones, it's councils of people coming together and in agreement create the sun, create the moon, right? Do all these things. Sentence the sun to go around for all eternity. I mean, that's for me well, for me that's what it's all about. For me. The following Cherokee Indian myth reveals the sun as a arbiter for man's fate. A number of people, so this is in quotations, a number of people were arranged to construct a sun, which was the first planet made. Originally, it was intended that man should live forever, but the sun, when he came to survey the situation, decided that inasmuch as the earth was insufficient to support man, it would be better to have him scrumble to death, and so it was decreed. Hmm. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a longer story, and I think I'm going to end on this story. Once again, uh, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing things right or not, so bear with me, but this is a fascinating story. This is a great story. Um, and it is actually from the Wintu tribe. Um, but gives kind of like this precursor to say this is also very similar to any Egyptian or Greek mythology. So this is a Wintu tribe story. The myth relates the efforts of a wicked and bloodthirsty old man named Sas to kill his son-in-law. And let me say it first. This is one of the names that I plugged it in everywhere. I cannot find, well, no one was saying it. This is what's sad about when things are written in 1914 in comparison today, how much we don't pay attention, how much we maybe don't care. Tal Talchu Harris, Talchu Harris, Tel Telcha Harris. I'm gonna work with it, folks. So we have this wicked, bloodthirsty old man named Sas, S-A-S, Sas, which is the Wintu Indian word for son, Sas, who has set out to kill his son-in-law, Tuchur Talchu Harris, Talchu Harris. After many unsuccessful attempts to accomplish his full purpose, he proposed a pine bending contest. Think of the pine trees. Pine bending. So these gods, these are going to bend the pines, right? But what I love about these stories is even if they're a god, they often also refer to them as man. So being unsuccessful with killing his son-in-law over and over again, pine bending contests. For he felt sure that by getting his son-in-law to climb to the top of the lofty tree, he could bend it low, and by letting it go, suddenly hurl the object of his enemy into the sky and thus destroying him. So he wants to do this like climb to the tallest tree, or we have to bend it down, however this works, and then it'll be hurling him off. Telchu Harris had, however, a wise protector hidden in his hair, in the gaze of a little spirit named Winchuwat, 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 who warned him of his peril and enabled him to turn the tables on his wicked father-in-law. In the words of the myth, Telchu Harris rose in the night, turned towards Sass, and said, why? I want Sass to sleep suddenly. And I think that why is more of like a breath. Wah, wah, wah. So he put Sass to sleep. Then he reached his right hand toward the west, toward his great grandmother's, and a stick came into it. He carved and painted the stick beautifully, red and black, and made a fire drill. Then he reached his left hand toward the east, and wood for a straight or narrow came into it. He made this and asked for the fox dog to give him his fox skin. The fox gave it. Of this he made a headband and painted it red. All these things he put into his quiver. We are ready, said Telchuaris. Now daylight, I wish you to come right away. Daylight came. Sass rose, and soon after they started for the tree. My son-in-law, I will go first. And said Sass, and he climbed the tree. Go higher, said Telchu Harris. I will not give a great pull. Go higher. He went high, and Telchu Harris did not give a great pull, so that Sass could come down safely. Telchu Harris now climbed the tree, almost to the top. Sass looked at him, saw that he was near the top, then drew the great pine almost to the earth. Standing with his back to the top of the tree, Chachu Harris sprung off from the tree behind Sass and ran away into the field. The tree sprung into the sky with a roar. You are killed now, my son-in-law, says Sass. You will not trouble me hereafter. He talked on to himself and was glad. What were you saying, father-in-law? asked Talchuharis, coming up from behind. Sass turned. Oh, my son-in-law. I was afraid that you had hurt yourself. I'm so sorry. Now, my brother, said Winshu Wat, Sass will kill you unless you kill him. At midday, he will kill you surely unless you succeed in killing him. Are you not as strong as Sass? Father-in-law, try again. Then I will go to the very top and beat you, said Talchua. That morning, the elder daughter of Sass said to her sisters after Sass had gone, My sister, our father has tried all people, and has conquered all of them so far. But today he will not conquer. Today he will die. I know this. I do not look for him today. He will not come back. He will never come back to us. Sass went up high. I will kill him now, thought Talchuas, and he was very sorry. Still he cried. Go a little higher. I went higher. I will go to the top next time. I will not hurt you. Go a little higher. Sass went higher and higher, till at last he said, I cannot climb any more. I am at the top. Do not give a big pull, my son-in-law. Talchuharis took hold of the tree with one hand, pulled it as far as it would bend, pulled it till it touched the earth, and then let it fly. When the tree rushed towards the sky, it made an awful noise, and soon after the crash was heard, 100 times louder than any thunder. All living things heard it. The whole sky and earth shook. Obolus, which also there is no real way of saying that. That is the grandfather of this story. I want to point out, folks, that this was, remember, a bloodthirsty old man who would love trying all people just to conquer them. So even though he had to be destroyed, Talchu Harris was very sorry about this, and he cried while doing so. But he still had to tell his father-in-law, go up higher, go up higher, go up higher. I will not harm you. Go up higher. Like he knew he had to lie in order to save many, right? This was a very, I can feel the heartfelt, um, all of it. So now we have the creator, Obolus, who lives in the highest place, heard it. All living things said, Chalchuus is killing his father-in-law. Has split Sass. The awful noise was the splitting of Sass. Chalchuus stood waiting. He waited 3 hours, perhaps, after the earth stopped trembling. Then, far up in the sky, he heard a voice saying, Oh, my son-in-law, I am split. I am dead. I thought I was the strongest power living, but I am not. From this time I shall say, Chalchuus is the greatest power in the world. Chalchuus could not see anyone. He could only hear a voice far up in the sky saying, My son-in-law, I will ask you for a few things. I will give you me for will you give me your foxskin headband? Chalchuas put his hand into the foxskin quiver, took out the headband and tossed it to him. It went straight up to Sass and he caught it. Now will you give me your arrows? Chalchuas took out the arrows and threw it. Give me your fire drill. He threw it. Another voice was heard now, not so loud. I wish you would give me a headband of white quartz. This voice was a smaller part of Sass. Then Chalchuis had given the headband as requested. He said, my father-in-law, you are split. You are two. The larger part of you will be Sass, the sun, and the smaller part, Channa, the moon, the white one. With this division is what you have needed for a long time, but no one had the strength to divide you. You are a good state now. You, Channa, will grow old quickly and die. Then you will come to life and be young again. You will be always like this in the world. Sass, you will travel west all time. Travel every day without missing a day. You will travel day after day without resisting. You will see all things in the world as they live and die. My father-in-law, take this, take this too from me. Chachuis then threw up to Sass the quiver made of porcupine skin. It will take it, I will take it, said Sass, and I will carry it always. Then Chachuis gave Channa the quartz-headed band, so a headband full of quartz crystals, and said, wear it around your head always, so that when you travel in the night, you will be seen by all people. Sass put the fox skin around his head and fastened the the arrows crosswise in front of his forehead. The fire drill he fastened to his hair behind, placing it upright. At sunrise, we will see the hair of the foxskin around the head of Sass before we see Sass himself. So we will see like this halo coming up before we see the full sun. We will see the hair coming up. Next, Chachuis threw up two red berries, saying, take these and make red cheeks on each side of your face, so that when you rise in the morning, you will be bright and make everything bright. Chachuis then went west and got some white roots from the mountains and threw them up to Sass, saying, put these across your forehead. Next, he stretched his right hand westward, and two large shells, blue in size, came to his palm. He threw these up to Sass, saying, put these on your forehead for a sign when you come up in the morning. There's a place in the east which is all fire. When you reach that place, go in and warm yourself. Go to oh, Al Patenti. Go to Al Patenti now. Obelus, Obulus, that's not how we pronounce this. I apologize, guys, because we know what that word means. Alubit. Obulus. Let's say Obulus. Hmm. But I will tell you the way this is written, because I'm just pausing because it is not an obulus like you would think. So this is written Olebis. And when I tried looking up, there is no like actual, they said just sound it out the best way you could. Your father lives there. He will tell you where to go. So this is like the grandfather. This is the one in the sky that was like, what's that noise all about? What's going on? The creator of all things, right? When it sounded 100 times louder than any thunder. This guy's like, what's that? Why? Oh, okay. Sass was destroyed. He broke into two. He split. Okay. All right. Okay. Sas therefore went to Avaliti, jeez, where he found a wonderful and very big sweat house. It was toward morning, and Obulus was sleeping. Apparently, he was startled by the noise and awoke and saw someone near him. He went at once to see who it was. Sas turned to him and said, "My father, I am split. I thought myself the strongest person in the world, but I am not. Telchuus is the strongest." "Well, my son Sas," says Obelus, "you, where do you wish to be, and how do you wish to live?" "I can't, I have come to ask you," replies Sas. "Well," answered Obelus, "you must travel all the time, and it is better that you go from east to west. If you go northward and travel southward, I don't think that would be well. If you go west and travel eastward, I don't think that will be well either. If you go south and travel northward, I don't think that would be right either. I think that best, which Taltuous told you. He told you to go east and travel west. He said there is a hot place in the east that you must go into and get hot before you start every morning. I will show you the road from east to west. In a place right south of this very big tree, a tobacco tree, just halfway between east and west. When you come from the east, sit down in the shade of the tree, rest a few minutes, and go on. Never forget your porcupine quiver and other ornaments when you travel. Go to the east. Go to the hot place every morning. There is always a fire in it. Take a white oak staff, thrust the end of it into the fire till it is one glowing charcoal. When you travel westward, carry this burning staff in your hand. In the summer, take the Mantonese staff, put it in the fire, and burn the head. This staff will be red hot all day. Now you may go east and begin. You will travel all the time, day by day, without sleeping. All living things will see you with your bowing staff. You will you will see everything in the world, but you will always be alone. No one can ever keep you company or travel with you. I am your father, and you are my son, but I could not let you stay with me. But I cannot let you stay with me. So in this story, the son actually starts as this horrible, bloodthirsty, cruel tyrant being, which does also relate to other stories that really emphasize the quote unquote harsh masculine energy of like beating down on us, harsh, having us work and toil, you know, um, but then split. And then there's this little aspect that came off as it was split, smaller than 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 Sass, the sun, that becomes the moon with its quartz crystals wrapped around its head. Um, Sass goes and talks to the entire father of creation, is like, hey, I thought I was the strongest, I thought I was the biggest, I thought I was the most powerful, but Talchua is. Once again, beloveds, the sun in this is referred to as a man. Talchua is referred to as a man. Even if it reads as these are definitely gods, these are definitely luminary gods. Even if it reads that way, it is said man. He even turns to the Creator Father and says, I thought I was the strongest man. He didn't say, I thought I was the strongest entity, the strongest being, the strongest God. He said, I thought I was the strongest man. And then of course we get, no, you go east from west, and every morning you got to go to the hot place. The hot place where the fire is all the time. The hot place. Which fascinating, right? This is all so fascinating. Before I let you all go today, I want to really emphasize and maybe look at, we have now looked at multiple stories that four is a continuous theme. They had to raise the earth four separate times. There were four mice. The stories from last episode, there's always this concept of four. And if we also relate that into um, some of the tribal, let's say, prophecies of what's to come, many of them also refer to as we we're living out our fourth. Like this cycle's going to end. We've done this four times. We've done this four times. So think about that. Apparently this number four is very significant, as in raising the sun, as in how many attempts it actually took to create the sun, as in um, even in the prophecies that we've talked about so much here at Stars of Morning Light, and we'll get back to them, the four cycles, right, of a beginning and an end. 444 seems to continuously be in some kind of relation to the stories of sun's creation and sun's ending. And oftentimes it's there. It's there in some way, shape, or form. And so we are going to draw upon that as we continue to move along in this sun series. So today, it's yes, let's start paying attention to four. And also, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think about how all of these indigenous stories, myths, apparently go so far back, and then there was even further back, right? Um, what do you think about this interchanging of what we would normally assume as a god being referred to as man? What does that, does it ignite any thoughts within you? Does it make you think of, whoa, one minute something's being called a god and the next minute it's being called a man? And there are some that are just very much, this is a god, hair god. That's what it's called, sun god. Okay, that never changed. But in a lot of these, mankind, us humans, are also in the same breath as in God. And it's all the humans who are coming together and saying, we need light. We need light in this world. How do we do that? How do we create that? How do we build light and create light together? So I guess my question would be is how does this make you feel? Because we've lived, I believe, in a very long time with the underworld still um producing a lot of darkness, right? Um and for some reason we are told we are insufficient, we are less than, we are of the lowest of low on the totem pole almost. But all these stories are very much emphasizing something different. So you let me know what you think about that. And I will be around very shortly after my trip is done. So I am with you in spirit. I am around, but I am not present for a few of the shows coming out this week. So thank you, beautiful stars, little suns, SUNs, as we create the light. Have a good one. Have a great weekend, everybody. Cheers. Thanks for listening.